Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or if it's the first time you're here, a very warm welcome from me. I am Annie and I do art sometimes, and yeah, it's been a while since I've done a voiceover on this channel. It's just been music playing in the background, and I thought it's about time that I talk about my work because I feel like it's a lot more interesting to actually hear about it rather than just see it and have some royalty-free music playing that you probably heard 10 times already in other videos. So yeah, these are all of my Inktober 2023 pictures, all 31 of them, because I did actually complete the challenge. And I'm using a watercolor sketchbook. And coincidentally, the sketchbook that I bought had 32 pages, and at the time of buying it, I didn't even intend to use it for Inktober, but it just lent itself perfectly to it. My goal for this challenge was to complete it for one, and to actually do one drawing a day, and to only use ink in traditional media. So I had like a brush pen, the Tombow one. I had some fine line markers. Later on I also diluted some ink to make different shades of grey. But yeah, I really wanted to explore it because a lot of times in my other work I just use ink to do the line work, and I don't really pay a lot of attention to it because the color and the shading kind of dominates past that point. But it was really interesting just focusing on one medium and making sure to explore all of the different techniques you can do with it. And that really brought me further, I think, in my artistic expression, because yeah, there's a lot of textures you can get with it, and there's a lot of shades of gray that you can do with just black, which might seem like a contradiction, but it kind of fools the eye because, yeah, if you have a lot of lines next to each other in black and you are far away from it, it looks grey to you, even though it's technically not grey. But that was pretty interesting. Yeah, a lot of I think it's called stippling, where you basically have like a lot of points next to each other. That's also something I didn't really do. I didn't do a lot of cross-hatching, which is kind of a staple of ink, but I did it a couple of times. My black marker was kind of running low towards the end as well, so I had to improvise with some other ink pens I had, which wasn't always the easiest, but it's also good that I get to use them because they just lay in my drawer most of the time. As for the pieces and the themes itself, it's the Inktober official prompt, and I didn't change any prompts from it. And most days, finding an image wasn't that hard that I wanted to do, but some days were definitely challenging. So the beginning ones are pretty straightforward, I'd say, and a lot of times I took the meaning literal, but later on I kind of interpreted some prompts in an abstract way because it was either something that I didn't want to draw that day, or I felt that it would be kind of boring to always take it literally. I think the best example of that is day 18 with saddle, and you see it later on in the video. But it's kind of I don't like just drawing objects. It gets kind of boring, so I googled it and it turned out that it was also a verb, so I used that instead, even though maybe it wasn't technically meant to be seen as a verb. I feel like it still fits the challenge. Also, towards the end of this, I'd say starting from day 22 maybe, I really just wanted to finish it, and it felt more like a chore to just sit down every day and record it and draw it, which took maybe like 1 hour to 1.5 hours per piece, and then to upload it, which like the whole process, if you took it together, maybe took 2 hours per day. And even if it doesn't sound like a lot of work, it was still kind of exhausting towards the end because you don't get a break from it. And I know that there are artists that kind of plan it ahead more, and they do maybe the preliminary sketches first in September, or maybe they take breaks and they don't do all of them, and that's fine if you want to do it that way. But I just really wanted to finish the challenge as it is intended, because it does teach you like discipline to really stick to it, even though you really don't want to do it on the day. Because a lot of days I was like, nah, I don't want to do it no more. I'm just gonna take a break. No one's forcing me to do it, but I'm glad I completed it, because it does just teach you that you can do these things even if you don't want to, which is an important lesson. And it's also good that it forces you to kind of post images that you don't think are good enough. I mean, you don't have to post everything you do, but in my case I did, just because I wanted to post the complete Inktober. And there are definitely some where I know that I was having a day where I didn't want to do it. And I think you can definitely see it, especially towards the end. But that's fine, because the whole project itself is more important than the individual pieces, I'd say. Yeah, I also tried in some of them to step out of my comfort zone, not all of them, because my comfort zone is drawing pretty ladies, not drawing backgrounds. But with some of them I did say, okay, I could draw just a pretty lady, but I'm not going to. Or I'm gonna do that, but do a different pose that I don't normally do, kind of just to mix it up a little bit, that they don't all look the same. So yeah, you can kind of see like the first day and the second day are very similar, and then I started branching out a bit more. And also drawing some animals, like the toad, for example, on day 8. But yeah, I'd say overall my favorites are the day 13 Rise. And what else? What else do I like? I don't know. I think that is my favorite. I think day 30 is also okay. Also because I kind of said, okay, it's almost over. I'm gonna do at least one more piece where I show a little bit more effort, because the previous 3 days have been like low effort days. Also because I think I was a bit more busy, but yeah, day 24 I also like, which is shallow. And I think around the middle of it, I started posting them on Instagram, and before that I only posted some of them on DeviantArt and in a Discord server. But I think the channel for the Discord server got deleted because Inktober's over. So yeah, day 3 I also like the path one. Yeah, and I think watching that you can kind of see that maybe in the middle mark of it I tried to explore a bit more of the texture and different things that I normally wouldn't do. And then I branched out into the watercolor mix, which isn't watercolor, it's diluted ink, but it is similar in some ways to watercolor. The only difference being that you can't reactivate it once it's on the page. So yeah, you kind of have to layer it slowly, and you can't kind of blend it once it's down on the page. That's kind of how it will stay, unless it's still a little bit wet, but then once it's dry, that's just how it's gonna be, which I actually don't mind. It's a nice thing about ink, and it can also be a annoying thing about ink, depending on if you like it or not. It's kind of this feeling of permanence. Once it's on the page, that's it. You can't erase it. I didn't allow myself to have a white gel ink pen either, because I was like, I really want to do just ink, and I feel like that would be kind of cheating. So I purposely had to plan out pieces where I left out the white space, and if I drew over it, then I drew over it. So I just had to kind of deal with the consequences, and I think it turned out alright overall. Yeah, I'm just glad I finished it. And it's always interesting to see that some people really like pieces where you didn't put in a lot of effort, or you felt like it was more of a lazy day, and people like it. And there's other pieces that you really like, and then people don't like it as much. It's kind of weird how that works, but I guess it's just over preference. But I always felt like the pieces where I spent more time in, that should also be the ones that get a better response, but that's just not how it works. For example, I think the Day 27 one, the Beast one, people liked because it's like a goofy monster. You'll see that later. But I was just like, I just couldn't be bothered to draw something more elaborate with reference, or like a fantasy monster, or just couldn't be bothered with it, so I drew a simple little creature. But yeah, it turned out to be pretty popular, even though it's really not my favorite, because you can see the ink, the watered down ink texture really clearly, and I'm not too much of a fan of that. I'd prefer it if it was more smooth, but that's just what you get with traditional media. I think that's pretty much all I can say about the Inktober. I would love to know if you've participated in it as well. And if you did you do the whole month? Or did you pick out a few pieces? And if you finished this video, what is your favorite piece and why? That would be really interesting to know. And yeah, apart from that, I am gonna put in non-copyrighted music because I don't know what else to talk about. I'll probably remember once I stop the recording, but yeah, I think that's pretty much all I had to say about it. And yeah, have a nice day or night, or whatever time zone you're in. And I'll hopefully talk to you again in the next video. Yeah. Bye.
matter where you find yourself, no matter what kind of stuff is going on in your life, underneath it all, everything's actually all right. You're okay. You have more power than you might be giving yourself credit for. And if you have something that's going on in your life right now that's challenging or painful, it's just a reminder to take a little bit better care of yourself. Because you're worth it. You can have this feeling.